name's Pat Richards. I'm president of Carpenters Local 1889 out of Downers Grove. I represent 1,000 carpenters from Butterfield Road to Will County. Will County became Camelot. As elected officials, you're supposed to uphold the laws, I understand. As everybody said, you can check with Lisa Madigan. This resolution is illegal. What a great example for constituents to pass an illegal resolution. Maybe the citizens should pass a resolution saying we'll quit paying our taxes. That'd probably get everybody up and down the street. What Rauner's proposing actually has nothing to do with balancing budgets. We all know that. I'll skip a little bit of this to get to your questions on prevailing wage. As a union carpenter, we have a 4-year apprenticeship. It's 4 years in the field with a minimum of 5,750 hours plus 160 hours a year in the classroom. Most of our apprentices exceed over 8,000 hours in them 4 years. Put that up against a college education, you'll see we far exceed the time we put in to be highly trained, skilled, qualified people. All this is accomplished through our union's dues process. We don't come to the taxpayers, we don't have student loans. This is all funded by what we take out of our check, put into our training to train our people. Now, as far as prevailing wage, does anybody here, show of hands, know the history on why we have prevailing wage? Okay, a little history lesson. You go back to the early 1900s, New York City wanted to build a subway. They decided a local contractor, price was too high. So they went to a contractor in Pennsylvania. He was cheaper. He brought in about 3,000 people. 3 months into the job collapsed. They couldn't afford to pay their guys. They couldn't afford to buy material, and their manpower was highly unskilled. You know what happened to the city of New York? All of a sudden, they had 3,000 people on their streets. They had them in their soup kitchens. It was a mess. You want people that are highly skilled and trained, building your schools, your fire stations, anything that tax dollars involved. It's to stimulate local workers. When you take the prevailing wage in Alabama, yeah, it's different than in Illinois. It's different in California. It's a living wage what a construction worker needs to earn. I've seen some of these non-union contractors come in, work on prevailing wage jobs. We get certified payroll, which cities hate providing to us. And we find out they're not paying the guys the wages that they said they are. We find out a year later that, oh, there's a problem with the fire rating. God forbid one of your kids are in that school and there's a fire and the smoke comes pouring in. So that's why prevailing wage is important, so that you get what you're paying for. Prevailing wage is not a union wage. It's the wage established in this area for a carpenter, a plumber, an operator, a fitter, for any specific trade. So I hope that you think about what you're doing. It is illegal, and I hope you think about all these people out here, that that's who you're supposed to represent. Thank you. Workman's comp.
Yes, a couple questions.
If you,
let me clarify. Part of this resolution discusses workers' comp in terms of traveling employees and how that may be misinterpreted or abused. Can you explain what that is and why traveling employees?
Right now, if I start my job downtown Naperville, at break time, the boss says, I need you to go up to Naperville North. We got a job up there. If I get in a car wreck in between point A and point B, I'm covered under Illinois Workman's Comp. Under traveling employees, they're going to say, you're on your own when you're traveling. Now, as far as Workman's Comp goes, don't you think if somebody gets hurt at work, they should be legally compensated? I do. I think the guy that falls down on the rug and crawls into work, he should be thrown in jail for fraud. So there is issues with Workman's Comp, but the main thing that they're trying to do, what Governor Rauner's alleged agenda is he's going to the board that he appoints for Workman's Comp and saying, you are not going to give out any high settlements in Illinois. We're going to drive the cost for insurance down. Now, if your son, child, daughter, whatever, lost an arm, I think I'd want him compensated. I know I would want it.
So if part of this agenda says that Illinois workers' comp costs are more than double the cost in Indiana, we're looking to lower the costs of doing business by helping workers' comp laws make them more fair. Would that be something you'd be against as well?
Describe fair. The price of an arm is the price of an arm. That's set by the state of Illinois sets a price for every finger has a price on it. Your eye, your right eye, your left eye, your nose, your ear. The state sets that. The union doesn't set it. The city council doesn't set it. That's a state issue. As somebody said before, a lot of things you're discussing here don't even belong in this room. It's state legislative things. And you have one councilman, he's down in Springfield, call him. Don't vote on something that you don't have the authority to, that's non-binding, that's just really, it's one person said going to give you this town, the 5th largest city in the state, bad name. Any other questions?
What about unfunded mandates? How do you feel about that?
Talk to your governor. He's spent $42 million of his own money. He can fund them. I'm here to represent a working person that deserves a decent wage, and if he happens to get killed at work, his family should have something, not just kick him to the side. I think that's a fair reply by me. Did you have a question?
Thank you. No, I don't have a question.